Alright, hello everyone, weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, December 22, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can still see that we have that cold front that is stretching all the way from northern sections of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of the Leeward Islands. And this cold front has induced a trough, as we can see by those broken lines, all the way into portions of the central Caribbean, all the way down into the southwestern Caribbean, right there up to the south of Jamaica. We can also see another trough right there to the east of the Leeward and Windward Islands. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with that cold front, stretching all the way from northern section of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of the Leeward Islands, including the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Eastern Dominican Republic, and we can also see the clouds associated with that trough passing to the south of Hispaniola, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and heading into portions of Honduras and Nicaragua. We can also see a lot of clouds right there off the southeast coast of Jamaica, lots of thunderstorm activity taking place as we speak. If we take a look to the east of the Leeward and Windward Islands, we can also see the clouds associated with that trough that we saw on the surface map. We'll be talking more about the Caribbean's weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Friday, December 22, sorry. It was stated that sections of northern Jamaica would receive some morning rainfall, then spilling into sections of some southern parishes in Jamaica during the afternoon. And for your information, when we're talking about northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Southern parishes, we're talking about St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland. And what ended up happening? A post was made on our Twitter page at 9:16 a.m. Keep in mind that these posts aren't only made on our Twitter page, but our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok page. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make some other posts that you can't afford to miss that we don't make here on our YouTube page. So we can see that at 9:16 a.m. the visible satellite images of Jamaica was posted. We can see the clouds bring some amount of overcast skies and isolated showers to sections of some northern parishes in Jamaica, just as predicted. So definite section of Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland got in on some of that rainfall. Then during the afternoon hours, a post was made at 3:36 p.m. highlighting some amount of clouds on the visible satellite images, bringing overcast skies and or isolated showers to sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, St. Thomas, St. Catherine, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland. And I even gotten on some amount of isolated showers in my portion of St. Thomas as well. We even have confirmation of the weather. Shani on our Twitter page stated had a lovely shower in Twickenham Park, St. Catherine, and even on our Facebook page we had Georgette Matthews stating it's wet and cold in Draxall, St. Anne. We've been having rain from last night to this moment, 10:24 a.m. Carol Bogie stating light showers on the north coast. Amanda Blake raining here in St. Mary. Brian Stevenson fair conditions in Kingston. Sunshine and a few clouds. And even on our Instagram page, we had Kemar8631 stating rain beat in a Spain town and central village. So this does indeed confirm the rainfall that we had in the afternoon hours across the southern parishes in Jamaica. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see that we still had a lot of overcast skies and isolated showers taking place before the sun went down right there across sections of eastern St. Thomas, Portland, St. Elizabeth, southern Manchester as well. And if we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, we can actually see that we have a lot of bad weather taking place off to the east of the island, especially where we see those high cold cloud tops, those cumulonimbus clouds, as represented by those greens, blues, yellows, oranges, and reds. So we have a lot of activities taking place right now off the east coast. And if we take a look at the Cuban Doppler radar images, we can actually see that rainfall is represented by the greens and the yellows. You know, the greens represent light to moderate rainfall, the yellows represent some amount of heavy rainfall as well. We can also see some amount of isolated showers taking place right there off the west coast of Jamaica, out to sea, to the north of Hanover, to the south of St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can say we have 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 3 a.m. on Saturday, the temperature should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS supercomputer model is showing 18Z on Saturday. When we calculate that, that's about 1 p.m. on Saturday. And what do we see? We see Jamaica embedded in some gray colors right there. We don't see the yellows, we don't see the blues across Jamaica at that time. And if we take a look at the key on the right, we know the grays represent the zeros. So we're not going to be getting the yellows or the oranges that represent above normal temperatures or the blues that represent below normal temperatures. We're going to be receiving average temperatures. And from this bar graph, we know the average temperatures for the month of December across Jamaica are about the same as 87 degrees Fahrenheit. And we take a look at the thermometer, 87 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So this map is definitely showing that we're going to be receiving 30 degrees Celsius for the average temperature across Jamaica on Saturday. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can see by the key at the bottom, the dry air is represented by the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we can see that we still have a lot of dry air across the majority of the Atlantic basin, including Jamaica, as we see all of those yellows and orange colors. However, as it relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday, we can see the browns that represent the Saharan dust stretching all the way from Africa, the desert over there, across the main development region into portions of the Windward Islands. So definitely sections of Martinique, St. Lucia, sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, even spilling into sections of eastern Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana. But we can see that 2 p.m. on Saturday has Jamaica in the clear. As it relates to the wave forecast, we can see what's surrounding Jamaica. We have more in the way of blues surrounding the island. When we take a look at the key at the bottom right, these blues signal anywhere from 1 to 1.5 meter wave height, and that's because the winds are not going to be that strong. Taking a look at the wind forecast by both the Euro and the GFS models, the winds are going to be coming in from the east northeast for the most part, and we do see more in the way of greens. And if we take a look at the key at the bottom, the greens represent anywhere from, let's say, 15 to 20 knots at most. So it could be windy across the north coast, not so much on the south coast. So it could feel a bit hotter, especially in southern Jamaica. But we see more in the way of blues across the southern portions of the island. That represents anywhere from, let's say, 0 to 5, maybe even close to 10 knot winds. And we know what usually takes place. We have all of that air coming in from the east northeast, piling up across the south coast of the island. Then we have those cumulus clouds getting heavy. Then we have some amount of, maybe some amount of isolated thunderstorms taking place. But we know that we're in December, we're wrapping up the thunderstorm season. Either way, some isolated showers could be possible across sections of some southern parishes. So something similar to what took place today could definitely take place on Saturday afternoon. So rainfall as usual in the morning for northern parishes, just like what we saw on the post this morning. Then in the afternoon, more of that afternoon rainfall across sections of, maybe sections of Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas. And we have the precipitation maps here to confirm what was just stated. So with the winds expected to come in from the east northeast or continue to do so, Look at this forecast from the Euro and the GFS months. We have the blues that represent rainfall across sections of northern Jamaica. What time is this? This is 1 a.m. tonight, 1 a.m. Saturday. So definitely sections of Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James being confirmed for some amount of rainfall. The GFS model is a bit more robust, showing sections of St. Thomas getting in on that rainfall. But it does make sense considering that it's already raining there. Look at the satellite images right now. Look at the Cuban Doppler radar images. It's already raining as we speak. So I guess that's a bit believable. Skipping ahead to about 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning, we still see more rainfall represented by the blues across sections of some northern parishes on the Euro model, more so across the northeast, maybe sections of St. Thomas as well on the GFS model. Skipping ahead to about 10 a.m., much of the same on both the Euro and the GFS models. Definitely a section of northern Jamaica, Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James. Then finally, by about 3 p.m., we're starting to see more of that rainfall spill into sections of some southern parishes. So we still have that rainfall across the north, so Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover. But we're starting to see more of those darker shades of blues that represent some amount of isolated afternoon showers across southern parishes. So definite sections of St. Thomas, Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland. So it's basically a repeat of what happened today. Northern Jamaica in the morning, southern Jamaica in the afternoon. So if you have laundry to get done, please ensure that you get that laundry done as soon as possible, especially if you live on the south coast. And it makes sense that the accumulated precipitation forecast from both the Euro and the GFS models are showing rainfall all across the island for the next 24 hours. Keep in mind that both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. Not saying that it's going to be raining throughout the day all the way up until then, but we just got the timestamps just now on the other maps. Northern Jamaica in the morning, southern Jamaica in the afternoon. Either way, when all is said and done, the accumulated precipitation for the next 24 hours seems to have most of the rainfall across sections of the east. So up to 0.73 of an inch of rainfall on the Euro being shown, up to 0.62 of an inch of rainfall on the GFS. Either way, we're indeed grateful that we're going to be getting in on some amount of rainfall. We're in the month of December. We're in the first month of our rainy season. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get in December before we step into the drier months of February and March, which are our peak months of the dry season. And we know how the National Water Commission can be in putting some amount of water restrictions, especially in the corporate area. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see some amount of clouds coming into sections of Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, associated with some amount of troughs. Costa Rica getting in on some of the action as well. Colombia, southern Venezuela, definitely sections of Guyana, French Guyana, Suriname. And we can also see some rainfall coming into sections of Barbados, sections of Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, it makes sense that we don't see much happening across the Leeward Islands at all. But what we do see is some of that rainfall that we are seeing taking place across sections of Puerto Rico on the satellite images. Definitely anywhere from San Juan westward, majority of the north coast of Puerto Rico getting on some amount of light to moderate or even some heavy rainfall. We can see even a little spot of yellow in there that signify maybe a heavier downpour than the rest of the area. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we don't see much happening across Barbados right now. Barbados is in the clear, but we do see some isolated pockets of showers passing to the north of Barbados. Some rainfall right there to the south of Barbados as well. Maybe could head into sections of Tobago, but we can see some of that rainfall heading into sections of Trinidad as we speak. Taking a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see some amount of rainfall right there heading into sections of Belize as we saw on the satellite images. Some rainfall heading into sections of Nicaragua as well. Not to mention sections of northeastern South America, sections of Guyana, French Guyana, Suriname getting in on some amount of rainfall right now. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on a Saturday. When you calculate that, that's 1 p.m. on Saturday. And we do see average to below average temperatures across majority of the northern Caribbean. So anywhere from Florida southward, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, sections of especially northern Haiti and the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico average temperatures, Jamaica average temperatures, sections of Central America rather getting in on a mixture of above normal and below normal temperatures, while it's majority of the Caribbean Sea, Northern South America, and the Eastern Caribbean that are being plagued by the above normal temperatures, as indicated by the yellows and oranges, up to even 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures across the Leeward and Windward Islands. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday, we can see all of the dust associated with the Sahara Desert stretching all the way from Africa across the main development region into the Eastern Caribbean for the most part. And we're starting to see more of those darker shades of browns that represent those vigorous plumes that could trigger some amount of asthma or respiratory illnesses in some people. So please ensure that you take necessary precautions so that you're not that drastically affected. We know that the Saharan dust can cause some amazing sunrises and sunsets, but we know how dangerous it can be. And you'll notice that it is in the area if the sky looks hazy and not necessarily blue like we're used to. Alright, so let us take a look at the wave forecast across the Caribbean. We can see that for the most part, on the Euro and the GFS, we're in consensus that majority of the Caribbean should be getting in on those blues that represent 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds are not going to be that strong. For the most part, we see more in the way of blues and greens that represent anywhere from 10 to 20 knots. And we see the general flow, the winds coming in from the east. Now we're here for the meat of the matter, the rainfall forecast for majority of the Caribbean. Where do we see the agreement? Where do we see the consensus? We know that when both the Euro and the GFS models are showing rainfall over a certain area, there's a high confidence that it will definitely rain there. Keep in mind that both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. We're not saying that it's going to be raining from now all the way up until then, but within the next 24 hours, these are the areas that are going to be picking up rainfall. So definitely sections of the Bahamas, sections of Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, sections of northern Puerto Rico, especially if they're not already getting the rainfall right now, it's definitely gonna be coming within the next 24 hours. Sections of Jamaica, anywhere from Guadeloupe southward to Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, sections of Venezuela, southern Venezuela and coastal areas of northern Venezuela, sections of Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, Colombia, sections of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, and Belize definitely going to be getting in on some amount of rainfall. And we know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.